Hi, good people. This is Deborah. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Let me read the disclaimer. The New Testament is a coded map of that sparks awakening, transfiguration, and return. The historical layer encompasses the timeless metaphysic truth that the soul is a fragment of the infinite, fallen into a world of form and forgetfulness. And the Christ is simply the term Christianity uses to remain to remind the soul of its source and rejoin the undivided all, the Great Mother. However, every ancient mystical tradition knew this same reality by different names. The different names, just keep in mind the Great Mother is energy. So, this took place in Egypt, in Hinduism, uh, in Greek philosophy, in Gnosticism, in Hermeticism, in Kabbalah, and Sufism, the Taoism, and Islam. Islam, the RUH. Okay. Now, the New Testament, the so called Testament, a test of the mental, but one sworn by the testes. Yet, the true covenant was never of the flesh, but of wisdom and the Great Mother. The cosmic covenant, from testes to testamental, returning to the Great Mother. The testament of light, the sacred journey from root to crown chakra. Now, I encourage critical engagement. Take what resonates with you and what does not resonate with you, put it on the shelf or throw it away. Stay open minded as we explore history, information, and esoteric perspective. Uh, this is part one of part two. The New Testament has 27 books. I'm going to give you the overview, esoteric of each book as I saw it. Now, the 27 chapters books of the New Testament are seen as a microcosm of cosmic cycle and human spiritual evolutions through the zodiacal ages, the four fixed signs anchored in the universal structure, an encoded message of humanity's genetic and consciousness awakening, moving from earthbound Taurus to spiritual liberated Aquarius. These four signs, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio, which, by the way, is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Um, and they're sometimes referred to as the technomorph. At face value in Christian iconograph, the tetromorph refers to the combination of four living creatures that surrounds the throne of divine in visions. From the book of Ezekiel, you thought it was aliens. It's not, it is metaphor and revelation. Its tradition includes the man that is written in Ezekiel as well as Revelation is Aquarius. But the woman was the one pouring the water, and the water means knowledge or wisdom. The patriarchal replaced the woman with man. Uh, Leo, the lion spoken of is Leo. The ox, the bull, the calf spoken of is Taurus. I'm giving you that these things are zodiacs, people. The ego is Scorpio. Let's look at Aquarius, which is the book of Matthew. Genetics, engineering, knowledge transmission, neuroscience, man as water barrier. Remember, Jesus told the disciples to meet him at the house with the man that was had the pail of water. The pail of water represents Aquarius, information barrier, man water barrier, spiritual knowledge, rebirth, the mind. Leo is Mark, heart centered consciousness, courage, leadership, the genetic and evolutionary drive for survival through strength. Leo, the lion. Lion encourages kingship, heart, fire. Taurus is Luke. Oh, I said, yeah, Taurus is Luke. The biological basics for substantious fertility and stability, early genetic domestication, plants, animal, Taurus, bull, earthly strength, sacrifice, stability. Scorpio is the ego, which is the book of John. That's the DNA transformation, death, rebirth, processes at the cellular and the spiritual level. Scorpio rules death and rebirth. Scorpio higher octave, mysticism, transformation, spiritual ascension. Now, Matthew 28:20. If you look at Bible Concordance number G1665, refers to a cosmological cycle or age. This connects to Job 38:31-32, which means the Mysterock, which means zodiac. The Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters. I don't know what you thought was Pleiades is the Seven Sisters, and Orion represents the gravitational and energetic forces that regulate the epics and tradition between ages. So the end of age, or you thought was going to be the end of the earth, it was talking about the end of the zodiac age. The zodiac age is 2,160 for each one. I think I broke it down in this video. You'll see it in the presentation. Now, in the astrological ages, we move backwards through the zodiac. Taurus age, uh, Aries age, Pisces age, and Aquarius age. Okay, and I've listed that, the rest of the information. Now, the new covenant is the internationalization of sacred seed. You saw in Jeremiah 31:33, it says, I will write my laws upon their hearts. Now, the heart represents the cerebrum, cerebrum. That's the throne. That's where you get your information. That's where it's written. Everything you need to know is written there. The heart is not that thing that pumps. The heart is in your head, and that's the cerebrum. Now, the summary of two testaments. You got two halves of the testament. You got the Old Testament and you got the New Testament. The Old Testament represents the old body, and the New Testament represent the new body, and they're in halves. So the Old Testament represents the first three lower chakras. That would be the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. That is the Old Testament. Okay. And the New Testament, I'll give you that because I have it indicated here, and I'm gonna go as quickly as I possibly can through the presentation. It's all written, so if I miss some, it's okay because you'll see it written. Only because I have 45 minutes. The Old Testament governs the lower chakra, 1 through 3. The root is structure, survival, identity, and purification. Represents accent from the earth, which is Egypt, which is bondage, which is karma. So Egypt is, it means bondage. All key New Testament scripture traditionally aligned with the chakras. The root chakras, I'm going to give you quickly as possible I can. It's in scriptures. You got Matthew 6:25. Don't worry about your life. That's chakra. Hebrew 13:5. Be content with what you have. Uh, Revelation 2:1 through 7. Ephesians, you have left your first love. Okay. The sacral chakra, John 7:38, rivers of living water. 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20, your body is a temple. Revelations 2 through 8, 11, that's Smyrna, be faithful unto death. The solar plexus, that's Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ. Keep in mind the Christ and the Christian represents your higher self. Okay. 2 Timothy 1 through 7. God gave us a spirit not of fear but of power. Uh, that's the solar plexus. That's your belly. That you hear that growling in your belly at times. Revelation 2:12 through 17. That's Pergamo. Hold fast to my name. The heart chakra, John 13:34. Love one another. Colossians 3:14. Above all these, put on love. Revelation 2:18-29. Uh, Thyatira. I know your love, faith. The throat chakra, Ephesians 4:29. Let no corrupt talk come out of your mouth. Matthew 12:36-37. By your word you will be justified. That's the throat chakra. Revelation 3:1 through 6. Sawdust. You have a name that you are alive, but you are dead. In the throat chakra. The third eye chakra, which would be the pineal gland, they call it, but it's called the single eye. Matthew 6:22. The eye is the lamp of the body. The eye is the lamp of the body. That's talking about the pineal gland, people. Over in uh, uh, Jacob set up something and you call it Peniel. Peniel is another hidden word that it is actually the pineal gland. Okay, 1 Corinthians 2:14 through 15. The person with the spirit makes judgment. Revelation 3:7-13. The Church of Philadelphia. I have set before you an open door. Now that's that the open door is the pineal gland, people. If that thing ain't operating, you ain't in your spirit. You're not there. The crown chakra. John, which is really Ion, Ion. John 17:21, that they may be one. What's being one? You and the crown. The crown is the great mother. It's not talking about you and a man or you and a woman. The there's a scripture over in the Old Testament that how can we walk together unless we agree? That's not you and another person. That's you and the great mother. You know. For as long as you're not connected to her, you are against yourself. You're fighting and warring against yourself. If you don't understand the crown chakra, because that's most important, we just got a few years ago, we just got the crown of thorn. That was that uh, corona. If you look up the word corona, corona means crown. So we had the crown, the thorn of crown, with that disease that came through. That's what happens with the crown of thorn. With the crown of thorns, you go through so much uh, stuff. When you take on the crown of glory, then you are accepting the things that you have into process. John 17:21, that they all may be one. 1 Corinthians 6:17, whoever is united with the Lord is one in the spirit. Talking about that great mother again, that crown of glory. Revelations 3:14-22, Laodicea, the church of Laodicea. It's not talking about a church. Churches represent your seven chakras in your body. You're neither cold nor hot. Okay. Your chakras can be open to positive or negative influence based on whether you accept the changes that need to take place within you. I've heard people say when your chakras are open, it's demonic. You know why? Because you're not accepting. I'm going to read to you why. When you open your chakras, you either deal with it in a positive or the negative. Just because you're dealing with the negative does not mean your chakras are not open. But I'm going to give you a quick understanding of it. When a chakra, the energy centers or churches in Revelation, symbolically language, that's what the symbolic language is. It's not a church building. It's talking about the chakras in you begin to open or activate, it brings its associated energies, challenges, and lessons to the surface. If you accept and integrate those energies, you ascend in consciousness. If you resist, reject, or ignore those changes, you experience the negative polarity of that chakra energy, which can manifest as physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual disturbances. See, a lot of people think when you say the word spiritual, you thinking all positive. No, 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 no. That's positive and negative in the spirit world, just like it's positive and negative in this realm. But just keep in mind, if it's in this realm, the positive or the negative, it took place already in the spirit realm because it starts there first. Now, I'm going to give you some positive and negative regarding the chakras. The first chakra, which is the root chakra, that's where your vagina and your penis and all that is in that area. It's they'll say the base of the spine, but it's all of that. Uh, the element is earth. So the biblical archetype would be Egypt, which means physical bondage, uh, tribalization, survival under Pharaoh. Okay, Pharaoh was not a real person. All this is talking about you people, the positive qualities, groundedness, stability, and security, connected to the earth and ancestry. The ancestry is through the chemicals within your body that came through down the line through your blood. Okay, foundational for spiritual assets, purification through discipline and law. That's that Mosaic law as structure. There was no man named Moses. It's all metaphysics or metaphors. The negative qualities: fear, survival uh, anxieties, attachment to materialism, tribalism that oh we Israel, we whatever you want to call yourself, aggression, bondage to physical appetites and earthly identities, stagnation in common cycles, which means represented by Egypt in the Exodus narrative. There was no Exodus. All this is taking place in you. The second chakra, which is the sacral, um, is just below the navel. The element is water. So when you see water in the Bible, it's talking about the sacral chakra, the biblical archetype, the wilderness journey, testing of desires, early relationship to the divine through rituals. Keep in mind, everything you do daily is considered to be a ritual. Now, the positive qualities: creativity, fertility, emotional openness, healthy desires, pleasure and relationship connection, flow, adaptability, like the Israelites moving through the wilderness. The 40-day wilderness is what we all go through when you go through ignorance, and then that wilderness on that 40th year, you go through a mental place of decision. You look to the left, you look to the right, you decide, okay, I've been through this, I've been through that, where do I go now? Do I go to the left, do I go to the right? That's the place of decision. um, the negative qualities is lust, addiction, emotional uh, manipulation, jealousy, codependence, idolatry, worshiping desires rather than God, as seen with the golden calf. Uh, People worship the person or the thing, but not and miss the whole knowledge of things. The third chakra, that is the solar plexus. That's the belly part of you. That's that fiery thing that takes place in you. And yes, it could be negative and positive. I'm going to give you both. The biblical archetype is law given of Sinai. Remember, the laws was given at Sinai. That was all metaphor. The assertion of personal and national will. Purification by fire. The positive is confident. Confident look like um, ego. You got to know the difference between when you say that somebody is full of ego. Know the difference between confident and ego, because there's a big old difference. I know that because I walked in ego quite some time, and now I walk in confident. Why? Because I'm a spirit being. Now, the willpower and the disciplined leadership, courage, self mastery, righteous anger. Yeah, I get angry. I get angry because I believe in fairness. I believe in fairness. I don't care what the color of your skin. Y'all see that segregation stuff? That ain't cool. And you're going to hear me talk about it more and more and more and more. The women sitting on one side in the church and the men sitting on the other side in the church. And then I hear that women can't teach men. You can't teach yourself because you don't know who you are. But anyway, let me just not get too loud about that. Anyway, positive transformation through the fire, a trial, which is purification via laws. The laws, the commandments, they're inside you already. You don't have to read no books and none of that stuff. And the trials take place in the wilderness. Where's the wilderness? I just talked about that. The first 40 years of your life. Now, what's happening to these people, these young people, they're getting it because of the time that we're in. They're getting it faster than we did. Now, the personal responsibility and moral discernment. You can't understand nothing if you don't have that discernment operating in you. Because you're gonna call a good evil. Backwards, just backwards. The negative quality. Egotism, domination. I always want to dominate somebody, take control of everything. Now, believe it or not, that is a masculine trait. Pride, masculine trait. Anger, controls issues, and spiritual arrogance. All of that is masculine trait. Rebellion and misuse of authority, masculine trait. Like the Koreans' rebellion and the murmuring against Moses, all that is metaphor. The willful disobedient because you want to control, because you think you know everything and you don't. A label don't make you. If you label yourself Israel, I'm not going to respect you because you label yourself Israel, because there was no tribe called Israel. I know what Israel means. So I'm not going to respect you because you got a costume on trying to imitate what you thought Israel looked like back in the ancient days. No, 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 no. I go by behavior. That's what I go by. The first thing I go by is your energy. That's number one. And I just had an experience, and I was letting my energy go for a second. No, I'm going to turn it up now because that matters. You have to go by energy, people, in this time period that we're in. The esoteric summary. The Old Testament maps the spirit matter and the gradual awakening of conscience through survival, desire, personal will. Egypt, the wilderness, bondage. Sinai is symbolic of the human soul journey through bondage. That starts in the first chakra, emotional purification, the second chakra, the fiery self mastery, the third chakra, before it can ascend into the heart space and the higher consciousness, which is the New Testament symbolization. That's what the New Testament is symbolizing. But you got to go through the process, people. There's no other way to get there. The New Testament activates the upper chakras, which is 4 through 7. That's what they have in the Bible, and I'm giving you what they have in the Bible. The woman has 12 chakra. The man has, there are some that have 7, and there are some that have 9. The New Testament activates the upper chakra, 4 through 7, focuses on love, spirit, and spirit union with the divine. The divine would be the great mother. Okay? It represents the descent of the spirit in the heart and mind. The fourth chakra, which is the heart chakra, which is the cerebrum. I tell you, which the cerebral, cerebrum, cerebral. People pronounce it very well, but sister, you know how I am. Okay, positive quality, the unconditional love, compassion, empathy, forgiveness, acceptance, and unity with others, selfless service, charity, grace, bridging the lower self and the higher self, humanity and divine meets. The divine would, is what we use for the great mother. Just keep in mind it's energy. When you connect with the great mother, it's energy. The connection is taking place, it's energy. It becomes one. You become one with that energy of the great mother. Now, bridging the lower self and the higher self, humanity and divinity meet here. Christ as the logos incarnate. Now, they call it Christ. Keep in mind, they made a male logos, is what they did. The patriarchals did. But if that makes them feel comfortable, okay, well, whatever. The negative qualities, emotional, the codependency, closet heart, bitterness, hatred, manipulative, kindness, acting loving to control and gain approval. Oh, yeah, we see you. Spiritual bypassing through uh, sentimentality without wisdom. Oh, yeah, we see you. The fifth chakra is the throat chakra. Is element is ether. The biblical archetype, apostolic, preaching, speaking truth, prophecy. They say logos, word made flesh. John 1:1. Uh, this is the this is what they do. This is what the patriarchals put there. I'm giving you that. Positive quality, speaking truth, authentic self expression, alignment of speech with spirit, spirit as a creative force, articulation of wisdom, inspiring teaching, bold yet humble, proclamation of the gospel. Now, you know the word gospel means ghost spell. Uh, Negative quality, gossip, slander, deceit, fear of speaking your truth. You fear. That's why you gravitate to people's channel, YouTube channel. Go inside yourself and let yourself talk to you. It does all the time. Just if you can't hear with noise, sit in a quiet place. Do some meditation. Meditation just simply sitting there listening to your thought speak to you in your head, because that is your higher self speaking to you. I always say speech, but it's not mouth, it's thought that is speaking to you. Dogmentation, weaponizing scriptures or doctrine. That's what they have done. They've given you the literal, which still makes you not know, because you keep running to these preachers and they're giving you the literal, and then they're making up stuff as they go. Why? Because they are tied to that 501c3 doctrine. Empty, without spiritual substance. That's the negative qualities of that. The sixth chakra, they say, is the third eye. It can't be the third eye because it sits in the third ventricle. You have four ventricles, and the pineal gland sits in the third. That's why they call it the third eye, but it's a single eye. Uh, it is considered to have light, the visual discernment. They say inner sight, spiritual intuition, initiation, transformation, Pentecost, revelation of John. Now, John is remember is ion. The positive quality is spiritual insight, wisdom, discernment. That's what they say, the patriarchals. Visionary understanding, mystical experience, seeing beyond appearance, divine intuition. Intuition is only with the feminine, but it's okay because you have feminine and masculine in you. Prophetic dreams, clear perception of divine will. The negative quality, illusions, delusions, false visions, pride in spiritual gift, mysticism. I give you the pride in spiritual gift. You got these people going around calling themselves pastors and prophets and all that dumb shit. Okay, but titles. They're giving them. They're more focused on titles, and if you don't respect them in their titles, you know that is a sheer sign of falseness. Tell you that now, because who you are, you don't have to announce it. Um, Over in intelligentizing the spiritual path, fear of rejection, and inner knowing. Let's go to the seventh chakra. The seventh chakra is the crown. That's on the top of your head. The element is thought. That thought is the manifester. Thought will cause you to manifest. They giving you the word. They twisted it. Word does not manifest. By the time you talk it out your mouth, you have already manifested. Thought is the manifester. Union with God, enlightenment, mystical unity, resurrection, ascension, Pentecost tongue of fire. You know, you know when you at that place. Positive, and that will be considered the and you don't hear them talking about it. That would be considered to be the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is the master gland in your body. They told you that it was the pioneer gland, not. It is the pituitary gland is the master gland, which is the mother gland in your body. It's up in your head. Uh, Positive qualities of it: divine union, mystical oneness with God, um, inner peace, bliss, full integration of human and divine nature, symbolized by, could be Christ, you call it Christ, could be, if you're in a different culture, it's called something else. Still, it is the Great Mother. Understanding of the cosmic law and grace. The negative quality is spiritual arrogance, and I hear it and see it all the time. You can get spiritual arrogance mixed up with confident. Be careful, because calling someone arrogant when they just confident. One of the things that you get when you become elevated in your spiritual self, you get confident. Don't misinterpret confident for arrogance or ego. Disconnected from earthly life, escaping into spirit. Uh, you have to have balance between the both. You live in a physical world, and what happens is you're now in your spirit world as well as the physical world, so you're operating from both. Uh, Denial of the body and emotional as unholy. The esoteric summary. The New Testament represents the descendant of the Holy Spirit into the heart, which is the fourth chakra, and the mind in fifth and seventh chakra, completing the alchemical work begun in the lower centers. Christ's message of love and unity is the key of opening the heart chakra. It ain't love as you know it. You know it because it is very unconditional. Unconditional doesn't mean you sit there and take abuse. That's not unconditional. Unconditional means you love that person and you go about your business. That's unconditional. At the same time, the teaching and mystical experiences elevate consciousness through wisdom, spiritual insight, and eventually union with the divine, the Great Mother. This is the soul journey from bondage, which is Egypt, body to the promised land, which is divine unity with the Great Mother. The sacral ascension with that unites heaven and earth within. In Christianity, Christ represents the soul. In other tradition, it is referred to by different titles, but the soul is fundamentally phenomenon akin to proton, the essence as a spark or energetic impulse. The neutron symbolizes the Great Mother. So you got protons, neutrons, and electrons. Electrons only exist in the earth. The protons and the neutrons goes past the fourth dimension. And you cannot go past the fourth dimension without the protons and neutrons. The Great Mother's divine creative force. So Christ as soul is the living phenomenon essence, uh, energized and animated by the Great Mother's spark, expressing a sacred union beyond patriarchal framing. The example, the Kundalini bridge, is called the Kundalini, which sits at the base of your spine. Baptism in the water, which is what John did to Jesus, clears the sacral chakra. It's all symbolic, people. Tempted in the wilderness, purifies the solar plexus. Preaches love, activate the heart. That's the cerebrum. That awakens you to your higher self. Speaks truth. That's the throat chakra. Sees the Father. That's the third eye opening. Ascends to heaven. That's the crown chakra. That's the divine union with you and the mother. The I am is the higher self. Why? Because it's the way, it's the truth, and it's the life. That's what Jesus said to you. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. Jesus wasn't talking about himself. Jesus was talking in a metaphoric, allegoric stage. Within yourself is the I am. The path through all seven chakras and the 12 chakras for the woman. This is the end of part one of part two. I will bring you part two of two shortly after this video. Thank you for listening and enjoy your day, good people.